Most clutter isn't useless. It's waiting for a future that never comes. The cable for a device you no longer own. The jacket for a version of you that may never show up. The box you keep because it is a very good box. That's why just-in-case clutter survives every cleanup. So today, we're not asking whether something could be useful someday. We're asking, does it still earn the space it takes up? Let's start with the drawer almost every home has. First, mystery cables. You know the drawer. USB cables, old charging bricks. An adapter with a connector you haven't seen in years. Throwing one away feels strangely risky. What if this is the exact cable you need 6 months from now? So don't guess. Put the cables on the table and ask, what device does this actually belong to? If you can't answer that, it isn't really a backup. It's a mystery. Keep the cables for devices you still own. The unidentified archaeology can go. Next, boxes for things you're not returning. Cardboard has an impressive ability to look responsible. Maybe you'll move. Maybe you'll sell the monitor. Maybe the coffee machine will need its original packaging for a very important journey someday. Keep boxes when there is a real reason, an active return window, an upcoming move, something genuinely difficult to transport. Otherwise, keep the few with a job. Recycle the rest. Your apartment probably doesn't need a cardboard retirement plan. Then there are old phones and electronics. Old electronics are harder because money is involved. A phone that once cost $800 can still feel expensive years later. But the money has already been spent. The useful question now is whether the object still has a job. If it is your real backup phone, charge it and know where it is. If it hasn't been switched on in 3 years, sell it. Recycle it responsibly or wipe the data and let it leave. Past price is not current usefulness. Now, duplicate kitchen tools. 1 bottle opener is useful. 4 bottle openers are a small committee. But I don't think every duplicate is automatically clutter. If 2 people cook together, 2 cutting boards may make perfect sense. So look at what each object actually does. If 3 tools perform the same job and you always reach for one, you already know which one you prefer. Then there are empty jars and containers. There is always a future version of us who apparently makes excellent use of them. He organizes screws, makes sauces, labels everything beautifully. Current us puts 12 mismatched jars in a cabinet. So give the fantasy a deadline. Keep the ones you actually use. Keep a sensible few extras if that helps. Give the rest a week. If no job appears, you probably didn't need 12 of them. Now, here's the rule I want you to use for everything else. Think of one object in your own home that you've been keeping just in case. Don't decide about it yet. Just keep it in mind. Now ask 3 questions. How likely am I to actually use it? Doubt how difficult would it really be to replace? And what is it costing me to keep? That cost might be shelf space, visual noise, maintenance, or simply moving the same object every time you need something behind it. A fire extinguisher may sit untouched for years and still deserve its place. A 4th phone charger you could replace almost anywhere? Different calculation. Drawer use is not the problem. Imaginary use is. Keep that object in mind. We'll come back to it. Now we get to something more personal. Clothes for a different body, or a different life. Maybe it's the suit that no longer fits, the hiking clothes for hikes that stopped happening, or something you bought for a version of yourself you hope to become. The object isn't just fabric anymore. It's a small promise. So I wouldn't start with, can I still wear this? I'd ask. Do I still want the life this belongs to? If yes, make the next step real. Schedule the hike. Alter the suit. Wear the thing. If you won't do that, the clothing may be carrying an intention you already left behind. The same question applies to abandoned hobby gear. A guitar gathering dust isn't automatically clutter. Neither is a camera, a set of weights, or woodworking tools. Sometimes a hobby is resting. Sometimes it has quietly ended. There's a simple way to test the difference. Give it one appointment, a real date. If you want photography back in your life, take the camera out next Saturday. If you don't want to give it even 1 hour, that tells you something. Sometimes letting the equipment go is easier once you've finally made the decision. Next, project materials. Paint from a room you no longer plan to repaint. Wood from a shelf you never built. Parts for a project that has been next month for 19 months. Project clutter is tricky because everything looks unfinished rather than unnecessary. So don't decide about the materials first. Decide the project. Do it. Schedule it or cancel it. Once that decision is made, the pile becomes much easier to deal with. Then there are the purchases that hurt a little more. The unused appliance, the uncomfortable shoes, the gadget you researched for 3 weeks and used 3 times. Getting rid of these things can feel like losing the money again, but keeping them doesn't bring the money back. Sell the object if that makes sense. Give it to someone who will actually use it. Learn from the purchase. You don't have to keep looking at the mistake to remember the lesson. Next, spare furniture with no real job. A chair can be useful. A chair parked in the corner because someone might need it is using real floor space for an imaginary guest. In a small apartment, that matters. If you host people regularly, keep what you need. But if the extra chair has spent 2 years holding laundry, it may already have revealed what it actually does in your home. Now we get to one of the harder categories, gifts you don't use. This one is different. We often keep a gift because removing the object can feel like removing the person, but those are 2 separate things. The kindness happened when the gift was given. You don't have to repay that kindness with permanent shelf space. Keep the gifts you genuinely enjoy. For the others, gratitude can stay even when the object doesn't. And if letting go still feels uncomfortable, take a photo first. Sometimes keeping the memory is enough. Next, old manuals and paperwork. Paper feels official. That makes it easy to keep too much. Of course, some documents matter. Legal papers, relevant tax records, active warranties, things genuinely difficult to replace. But the instruction manual for a toaster you no longer own? Probably not. If the information is easily available elsewhere, the paper may no longer need your drawer. Then there's extra bedding. A guest set in a home that actually has guests? Reasonable. 5 old pillows and 3 mismatched sheets because fabric is useful? Probably not. Keep enough for the life you actually live, plus a sensible backup. You're preparing for guests, not opening a hotel. And then there are old towels, for cleaning. Eventually, every old towel seems to get promoted to cleaning duty, and somehow, none ever retire. Keep a few. Put them with the cleaning supplies so they actually have a job. If the stack could handle a minor industrial spill, reduce the workforce. And finally, the category that can hold almost everything else. The someday box. Things without a home. Things without a decision. Things we aren't ready to remove, but apparently aren't interested enough to use either. I don't think a temporary decision box is a bad idea. Sometimes you genuinely need distance before deciding. But give the box one thing most someday boxes never have. A date. 30 days. 60 days. Whatever is reasonable. Write it on the box, and when that date arrives, open it again. If you never went looking for anything inside, that is useful information. You didn't fail to organize those objects. You learned how little they were participating in your actual life. Now, go back to the object I asked you to keep in mind. Would you actually use it? Would replacing it be genuinely difficult? And what is keeping it costing you today? You don't have to get rid of it, but you should be able to explain why it stays. Minimalism isn't about proving you can live with the fewest possible objects. Some rarely used things matter. Some inexpensive things are worth keeping. Some things earn their space simply because the moment you need them really matters. The goal is not less for the sake of less. It's a home with fewer unnecessary decisions. So tonight, don't declutter your whole apartment. Find 5 just-in-case objects. Only 5. Run the test. Make 5 decisions. Then stop. Because once you remove what no longer deserves the space, the next question becomes more interesting. What should a small apartment be designed around in the first place? That's where we're going next.